These two golf balls are the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1x for 2025, and they are making their PGA Tour debut this week at the Shriners for Children's Open in Las Vegas. Now, sadly, I am definitely not in Las Vegas at TPC Summerlin, but white boxes just like these are in the practice area, and Titleist staff players who are interested in trying the 2025 Pro V1 and Pro V1x for the first time and potentially putting these golf balls into competition will have their opportunity this week. Now, while Titleist did give me these boxes of Pro V1 and Pro V1Xs for 2025 when I had a meeting with the company in Fairhaven, Massachusetts at its world headquarters, I am not able right now to be able to divulge the information and the details about what makes the 2025 version of Pro V1 and Pro V1X different than the current version, which is released in 2023. But that information is going to be coming. And if you're somebody who's into golf equipment, you can pretty much set your watch by the cadences of Pro V1 and Pro V1X. You see, historically, Titleist has released golf balls on what's called 2-year product cycles, which means that if we got a Pro V1 and Pro V1X update in 2023, we're expecting that in 2025. We'll be expecting that, going forward on, again, 2-year product cycles. On the years when we don't get new Pro V1, Pro V1X, we often then get AVX updates. So right now, Titleist is what's referred to as its seeding process. That means that it is introducing the newest golf balls that the public will get a chance to purchase in a few months to PGA professionals so that they can start to integrate them into their game, get exposed to these golf balls, and potentially put them into play. They will then also introduce these golf balls to golfers who are on the Korn Ferry Tour, the LPGA, the DP World Tour, etc. It starts, though, with the PGA Tour, and it's really important and actually very significant that, once again, Titleist is doing this in Las Vegas at TPC Summerlin. You see, back in 2000, 24 years ago, the very first Pro V1 was brought to the PGA Tour for the first time, and it was immediately a sensation. See, at that point, most Titleist staff players were playing either a Titleist Tour Professional or the Prestige. And those golf balls, for those of you who may be relatively new to the game or just were unaware, those golf balls actually had a small liquid core and then wound pieces of elastic material that went all the way around that core and then was covered with a plastic material. Oftentimes they were covered with a material called balata. Now, those golf balls were really, really good at generating spin for elite players. They didn't go all that far. There was the alternative, which was a solid core ball that went really far, but you couldn't spin it. The Pro V1 was the first ball from Titleist, and it took about 5 years to develop it, that basically merged those two different things together. It was a 3-piece ball, sort of the way we know Titleist Pro V1 to be now, with a large rubber core, a pretty firm veneer casing layer, and then a urethane cover. Now, interestingly, Pro V1 was never supposed to be the name of the golf ball from Titleist. It was actually stamped onto the golf balls that were submitted to the USGA to make sure that they conformed with the rules of golf by a gentleman named Bill Morgan, who was one of the heads of R&D for Titleist at the time. See, the golf ball was going to be replacing the Titleist Professional Pro, and the casing layer was made out of veneer, V, and these were the first batch, or this was the first batch that was being sent down to test for conformity. Pro V1. Now, according to legend, the players out on the PGA Tour who were exposed to these prototype golf balls thought the name was kind of cool, so it ended up sticking. Now, to say that the Pro V1 was an immediate sensation is actually doing it a little bit of injustice, because 47 players put the golf ball into play the very first week that it was made available to them, including Billy Andrade, who won the tournament, as well as the guy who came in second, Phil Mickelson. Those golf balls created such demand and so much buzz that Titleist actually moved up the time when it had planned on releasing Pro V1, which was going to be March of 2001, up to December of 2000, just to basically meet all the demand that it had created with the Pro V1. Now, the following April at the 2001 Masters, the Titleist Pro V1 was the most played golf ball amongst the competitors in the field, and it has been the most played golf ball at every men's major ever since. Now, Titleist updated the Pro V1 in 2002, and then it gave it a second upgrade in 2003. And in 2003, we get the first version of Pro V1X. Now, Pro V1X, from the start, was a 4-piece golf ball with 2 cores, a dual core system. And it was designed for players who were looking for a little bit more height and a little bit more spin than the original Pro V1 was providing. From that point on, the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X were updated together onto your product cycles. According to Titleist, on any given week, about 70% of the field is using a Titleist Pro V1 or a Pro V1x, and it actually goes up to about 76% when you move to the LPGA. 84% of the players who competed in both the US Amateur and the US Women's Amateur used either a Pro V1 or a Pro V1x, and when you move to the NCAA Championship at the Division I level, the men's and the women's, about 90% of the players who competed in those tournaments used either a Pro V1 or a Pro V1x. And as I'm sure you are probably aware, the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1x are the most played golf balls amongst recreational players as well, which is why I wanted to let you know that there are going to be updates to the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1x coming relatively soon. Don't be surprised if you go into your local pro shops and golf retail stores in the weeks ahead and start seeing discounts on the current version, the 2023 version of Pro V1 and Pro V1x. They're going to try and work through that inventory as best they can to make room for the new Pro V1 and Pro V1x's they're going to be coming. And if history is a guide, we should probably be expecting that shortly after the PGA Merchandise Show, which takes place in Orlando, Florida every year, about the third week in January. So use that information as you will. So if you have any questions about the Titleist Pro V1, Pro V1x, or any of the Titleist golf balls, or golf balls in general, feel free to drop them in the comment area below. I do try and monitor my comments and try and answer as many of them as I possibly can for people. If you got some information out of this, if you like this video, it'd be really helpful to me if you would smash that like button as well as subscribe to my channel. And again, if you've got a comment or a question, please feel free to drop it in the area below. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.